Tonight on Y News, the Philippine Competition Commission orders ride-hailing transport service Grab to refund about 5 million pesos to customers for charging extremely high fares and for other violations. A lawmaker questions the design and construction of a stadium cauldron for the 2019 SEA Games amounting to more than 50 million pesos. Manila Mayor Isko Moreno turns down request for dialogue from cultural youth organization Panday, Sining for vandalizing the Lagusnilad underpass. Farmers Group fears losing over 140 billion pesos this year due to the implementation of the rice tariffication law. And Ramon intensifies into a severe tropical storm. Signal number 2 raised in 4 areas. Good evening. What you are seeing right now is the ongoing public service being rendered by members Church of God International in London, United Kingdom. This is in line with the 39th year in public service of the program Ang Dating Daan. We will give you more details on this event later in our program. The Philippine Competition Commission orders Grab Philippines to refund 5 million pesos to its passengers. The agency has given Grab 60 days to refund customers. Arlene Delgado details why.
Maricel meets heavy traffic on her way home from work every day. She prefers to use a ride-hailing service, even though it takes an hour to book a ride. She endures not only a long travel time, but also the costly fare, as she spends as much as 400 pesos from Quezon City to neighboring Manila City.
Minsan, yung rate is hindi na siya convenient as a user. Since high demand, like pag peak hours, high demand, so mataas din yung fare na nakukonsume namin. Pero no choice kasi nagmamadali ako, so gusto ko makauwi ng bahay ng as early as doon sa time ng uwi ko.
Maricel could be one of the Grab users to receive a refund from the ride-hailing company. This after the Philippine Competition Commission or PCC ordered Grab Philippines to refund 5 million pesos to its passengers. According to the PCC, it found out the ride-hailing app has overcharged its passengers who availed of its service from February to May of this year. The agency has given Grab 60 days to refund customers. The order was released on November 14, 2019. The PCC has imposed a fine of over 23 million pesos on Grab Philippines from August last year up to this year due to violations of its own commitments. For such, in January, the PCC imposed a penalty of 6.5 million pesos on Grab Philippines for submitting insufficient data on fare monitoring. The antitrust body continues its call to local ride-hailing app companies to compete against Grab to prevent a monopolistic behavior. Meanwhile, in a statement, Grab Philippines maintains its compliance with the LTFRB matrix and vows to closely coordinate with the PCC for payment mechanics. Arlene Delgado, UNTV News and Rescue, Quezon City.
A group of farmers will conduct a series of protests in connection with the effects of the rice tariffication law on their livelihood. They also call on the government to compensate local farmers for their losses. Ray Pelayo tells us why.
Various farmers groups joined together today to voice out to the government how they are affected by the implementation of the rice tariffication law. Chairman of the board of the Federation of Free Farmers, Leonardo Montemayor, said the projected loss of farmers could reach 140 billion pesos or 30,000 pesos per hectare this year. This is due to the decrease in price of palay from more than 20 pesos in 2018 to around 15 pesos per kilogram this year. This started when the importation of rice in the country was loosened.
This is more than 10 times, probably about maybe 14 times, the damage wrought by Typhoon Yolanda to the entire agriculture sector in 2013.
The group calls on the government to pay for the farmers' losses. The Federation of Free Farmers suggests the tariff for imported rice be tripled from 35% so the market won't be flooded.
And now we are feeling the painful effects na napakababa po yung 35. Kulang po. Roughly, my own calculation is it should be in at least 100%. Otherwise, malulurong tayo.
The group will conduct a series of protests in the coming days, hoping the government would hear them out to review the rice tarification law. The Department of Agriculture and the Department of Finance have previously said there will be no amendments to the law for now. Ray Pilayo, UNTV News and Rescue, Quezon City.
Malacanang says President Rodrigo Duterte has no order to suspend rice importation. This is the response of the palace after reports surfaced that President Duterte has allegedly ordered to suspend the rice importation and that the government has been ordered to buy rice from Filipino farmers. The chief executive, meanwhile, apologizes to farmers because of the low buying price of palay. President Duterte reiterates he is not ready to repeal the rice tarification law because he does not want to have another food crisis. President Duterte also mentions he is willing to meet local farmers personally. Ramon intensified from a tropical storm into a severe tropical storm as it continued to pose a threat to the northern part of Cagayan. In a bulletin issued at 5 p.m. today, the Philippine Atmospheric, Geophysical and Astronomical Services Administration, or PAGASA, said severe tropical storm Ramon now has maximum winds of 100 kilometers per hour and gustiness of up to 125 kilometers per hour. The severe tropical storm is already 125 kilometers east of Apari, Cagayan, but it's slightly slowed down, now moving north-northwest at 10 km/h from the previous 15 kilometers per hour. Ramon is expected to make landfall in the northern part of Cagayan between this evening and tomorrow morning. Tropical cyclone wind signal number 2 is raised in Cagayan, including Babuyan Group of Islands, northern part of Isabela, Apayao, Kalinga, and Ilocos Norte. Meanwhile, signal number 1 is raised in Batanes, Ilocos Sur, Abra, Mountain Province, Benguet, Ifugao, La Union, northern part of Aurora, and the rest of Isabela. Ramon could leave the Philippine area of responsibility on Thursday morning. Meanwhile, the LPA outside PAR is now 1,320 kilometers east of eastern Visayas. It is expected to enter within 24 hours. If it becomes a tropical depression and enters PAR, it would be given the local name Sarah. Senator Franklin Drilon calls on the Commission on Audit to look into what he describes as an extravagant spending on the 2019 Southeast Asian Games cauldron. Nel Maribuhok reports why.
The Philippine government's total expenses on the Southeast Asian or SEA Games hosting this year amount to around 16.5 billion pesos. Senate Minority Leader Franklin Drilon reviewed the expenses during the budget deliberation of the Bases Conversion and Development Authority or BCDA today. The BCDA is a government-owned and controlled corporation under the Office of the President of the Philippines. Senator Drilon particularly cited the cost of the design and construction of the stadium cauldron for the SEA Games, estimated to be about 55 million pesos. According to the senator, this budget could have been used to build 50 classrooms. Senator Sani Angara defended the budget and said the cost is just around 50 million pesos.
The caldero is made of steel. Yes. Which is why accounts for its cost, its high cost.
According to Vince Dizon, BCDA's president and CEO, the facilities built are not only for the coming SEA Games.
I'm talking about world-class sports facilities that can not only be used for games such as the Southeast Asian Games, but can also be used to serve as the training hub of our athletes.
Senator Drilon is not convinced with Dizon's explanation, saying he will just let the SEA Games pass. The senator intends to file a resolution to investigate the alleged extravagant expenses afterwards. Senator Drilon also appeals to the Commission on Audit to look into the issue. Nel Maribuhok, UNTV News and Rescue, Senate of the Philippines.
A cultural youth organization calling itself Panday Sining has apologized for vandalizing the Lagos Nilad underpass and expressed willingness to talk to Manila Mayor Isko Moreno. But the Manila Mayor refuses to do so. Aiko Miguel will tell us why.
A resolute Mayor Isko Dumagoso has turned down the request for dialogue of Panday Sining, even after the activist group apologized for vandalizing the newly painted walls of the Lagos Nilad underpass. The members of the group claim what they did was not a form of vandalism, but an art of expressing their sentiments against the government for allegedly suppressing their freedom. They argue that last year they launched a program called Grafiesta, which aimed to encourage the public to express their sentiments by writing in public spaces, just like what they did at the Lagos Nilad underpass. Panday Sining believes Mayor Isko shares the same goal of lasting peace in the city, so they are asking for an audience with him, which Dumagoso has deliberately turned down.
Para ano? Para ubusin ko ang oras? Imbis na bigyan ko ng atensyon yung ibang mahalagang bagay na kakailanganin ng taong bayan. Pinakialaman ko ba sila sa karapatan nila? Hindi. Malaya kayo sa Maynila. Pero wala kayong karapatan babuhin kami sa Maynila.
Dumagoso has expressed anger over the group's waste of public funds because the local government needed to repaint the walls with the money allotted for medicine and the city's housing project for the poor. The mayor is determined to file charges against anyone who will follow what the militant group did in vandalizing the walls of Manila. Aiko Miguel, UNTV News and Rescue, Philippines.
Members Church of God International served the homeless in Las Vegas, Nevada by giving free meals and clothing in celebration of the 39th anniversary of the Old Path. Brother Justin Masakayan reports.
Behind the city's structures and bright lights, there is one truth that cannot be hidden in the state of Nevada. According to Nevada Homeless Alliance, the state ranks 4th in the country with the largest number of homeless people. In fact, there are more than 100 homeless families and more than 2,000 homeless teens. Aside from this, over 14,000 Southern Nevadans will experience homelessness this year, according to the report of Southern Nevada Homeless Census and Survey of 2019. And as part of the celebration of the 39th anniversary of the Old Path program, the Members Church of God International held another feeding program in Las Vegas, Nevada. Bruce is one of the hundreds of homeless in Las Vegas who lurk around the streets until midnight just to find food and something to drink. He was shocked that MCGI was not only giving out food and drinks, but also free clothing.
I love it. Y'all doing a good job right here. Come out with brand new clothes, fresh food. Hey, you can't beat that.
This is the same reaction of another homeless person in the city, Archie, when he received free food and clothes from MCGI.
I think it's beautiful because everybody needs a little help, and God bless you all. We appreciate what we got.
The hardships that they experience in Las Vegas cannot be measured, because during the summer season, the temperature can be compared to a desert, reaching temperatures over 40 degrees Celsius and 15 degrees Celsius during the winter season. Las Vegas City may be called a sin city, but MCGI volunteers desire to let people know that there will always be a group who will help the people who are in need.
Kahit po katiting na tulong ay maibahagi natin at gusto po namin makilala na meron po tayong isang samahan dito na talagang tunay na relihiyon na nagbibigay ng lahat ng maitutulong sa mga kapwa natin, hindi lang po sa Pilipinas kundi ganun din po dito sa United States.
From Las Vegas, Nevada, North America, for Justin Masakayan for the Old Path 39th anniversary, upholding the truth through the gospel and good works.
Welcome back to Y News. We pick up to where Angelo Castro III left off. I'm Alex Baltazar, and here are the headlines. Vice President Leni Robredo assures President Rodrigo Duterte on her limits to sharing drug war secrets. The Philippine National Police wants to finish the bidding process for the body cam procurement before 2019 ends. Pasig City Mayor Vico Soto vows to help free detained Regent employees arrested in a labor strike. Manila government to file raps against SUV driver who dragged a traffic law enforcer in Manila City. And Manila Mayor Isko Moreno clarifies story behind a man who was seen clinging to a jeep and punching a passenger inside. Good evening. President Rodrigo Duterte is just reminding Vice President Leni Robredo that revelation of classified information to foreign entities awaits penalties, according to Malacanang. This comes after the Vice President was denied access to the so-called narco list. Rosalie Cos explains why.
President Rodrigo Duterte has revealed to public numerous times the names of those included on his so-called narco list or the list of names of politicians allegedly involved in the operation of illegal drugs in the country. The latest was before the 2019 midterm elections.
Amongst these drug personalities was anchored on my trust in the government agencies who have vetted and validated the narco list.
This was despite criticisms the publication of the list may violate the rights of those on the narco list.
Yes, while we appreciate and understand well-meaning individuals saying that the release of the narco list may violate presumption of innocence, we'd like to tell them that the Constitution gives the people the right to know matters of public concerns, especially those that concern their lives and welfare.
However, Malacanang is not in favor of giving Vice President Leni Robredo a copy of the list of high-value targets or big personalities allegedly involved in illegal drugs. The palace explains that is beyond the mandate of the Vice President as drug czar.
Yung mga high-value targets, kung hindi ko nga alam kung ilan ba ang high-value targets, ano ba yung status doon sa pagtugis sa mga high-value targets, ano ba yung available na impormasyon, nasaan ba yung kakulangan.
It is President Duterte himself who warned that he may dismiss Robredo as drug czar if she reveals the narco list regarded by the palace as classified information. Before this, Robredo was able to meet with the representatives of the United Nations Office on Drugs and Crime, or UNODC, and U.S. officials in her first week as co-chair of the Interagency Committee on Anti-Illegal Drugs, or ICAD. According to presidential spokesperson and Chief Presidential Legal Counsel Salvador Panelo, revealing state secrets to foreign entities as well as welcoming those who have trampled the country's sovereignty is damaging to the welfare of the Filipino people. The palace adds the president is merely reminding VP Leni of the imperatives as well as the limits of her appointment as drug czar. Rosalie Cos, UNTV, News and Rescue.
Lawmakers expressed their position on the contentious issue of whether Vice President Leni Robredo should be given a copy of the list of high-value targets of the government's anti-illegal drugs campaign. Meanwhile, the Vice President herself assures the confidentiality of the contents of the list. Vincent Arboleda will tell us why.
The issue about Vice President Leni Robredo asking for the list of high-value targets in relation to the government's drug war has become a hot topic. This is due to fears that the Vice President would reveal the contents of the list to others, even to foreign entities. But VP Robredo assures she will observe the confidentiality of sensitive information.
May assurance naman lahat na sensitive information.
But by Representative Ed Silagman questions how and why has a list of high-value targets of the drug war become a state secret, while most countries, including the United States, publicly reveal the list of dangerous criminals to prevent them from perpetrating more crimes, as well as to aid in their capture. On many occasions, the President himself has released the names of high-profile suspects, including businessmen, politicians, generals, and police officials. For House Committee on Dangerous Drugs Chairman Robert Barbers, there is no need to provide VP Robredo with the list. Barbers says the list should be given only to those with security clearance. But according to Congressman Lagman, it is important for VP Robredo to gain knowledge and information such as this in order to formulate policies and an action plan for a non-violent campaign against illegal drugs. Senator Francis Pangilinan meanwhile says the Vice President need not be scolded on the confidentiality of the list.
Kung gusto nilang magkaroon ng maayos na tulungan, dapat pati yung informasyon, they should be able to share it.
Vincent Arboleda, UNTV News and Rescue, Pasay City.
The Philippine National Police believes Vice President Leni Robredo's request for the list of high-value targets will not matter in the fight against illegal drugs. The PNP advises the Vice President to focus on advocacy and rehabilitation aspect of the drug war instead. Harleen Delgado explains why.
The Philippine National Police will adhere to the Philippine Drug Enforcement Agency or PDEA's decision whether or not to provide Vice President Leni Robredo with the so-called narco list or the list of high-value targets in connection with the government's anti-drug war. This after PDEA Director General Aaron Aquino said in a statement he is willing to present the list to VP Robredo in a closed-door meeting only with the presence of personnel with security clearance. Aquino has earlier said he refused to give the Vice President the actual copy as it may compromise their operations. He explains once they give VP Robredo a copy of the list, they will no longer know who else has access to it, which is considered classified information. The PDEA chief clarifies this is mere standard operating procedure in law enforcement and not an act to disrespect the Vice President. On the other hand, for PNP Officer in Charge Police Lieutenant General Archie Gamboa, the Vice President, who sits as the co-chair of the Interagency Committee on Anti-Illegal Drugs or ICAD, does not need access to the list as the ICAD works as a collegial body.
Fine if you want to review the law enforcement campaign. But would it really matter if you know who are on the list? So yes, I adhere to what the PDEA Director General says.
Gamboa believes VP Robredo should focus on the advocacy and rehabilitation aspects of the drug war and leave the law enforcement to concerned agencies.
Why would the VP not take the advocacy and the rehabilitation? But law enforcement and prosecution or on the justice could be best left to those who know it.
Harleen Delgado, UNTV News and Rescue, Camp Crame.
The Philippine National Police want to finish the bidding process for the body camera procurement before the end of 2019. Meanwhile, PNP Officer in Charge Archie Gamboa vows the swift dismissal of the 3 police majors who extorted money from a disqualified bidder. Leia Ilagan tells us why.
Since last year, the Philippine National Police have promised to procure body camera to be used by police personnel who conduct anti-drug operations. But problems have emerged. when 3 police majors extorted 5 million pesos from a disqualified bidder in exchange for a favorable decision. PNP officer in charge Archie Gamboa says they target to finish the bidding process for the body camera procurement in December.
Ang body cam, I think the first was disqualified, but they can always ask for a request for reconsideration. So I think the second proponent now is undergoing post-qualification.
The law states the allocated funds shall be returned to the National Treasury if not spent until the end of the month. Their process will be back to zero. The PNP shall wait until the next national budget for a fund allocation for the body camera procurement. Gamboa also confirms he will sign the dismissal order on the 3 police majors, namely Emerson Sales, Rolly Caragayan, and Angel Beros, who extorted money from the disqualified bidder.
As I have promised, we will be transparent. Those who are answerable, especially those who are corrupt, you will be dismissed swiftly, as fast as we could.
The PNP target to buy 12,000 body cameras from the 334 million peso allocated fund. Leia Ilagan, UNTV, News and Rescue, Camp Crame.
A labor dispute between Regent Foods Corporation and its workers is now being resolved, according to the Department of Labor and Employment, or DOLE. Meanwhile, Pasig City Mayor Vico Soto vows to help free the detained Regent workers. May Bermudez will tell us why.
It was on November 9, 2019 when workers of Regent Foods Corporation in Pasig City held a picket to call for an end to contractualization, low wages, and other labor issues. A group of private armed guards and police went to the area that resulted in a violent dispersal. 20 workers, 2 members of a labor group, and a tricycle driver were arrested in the incident. Complaints for slight physical injuries, resistance, and disobedience on top of alarm were filed by Regent Foods Corporation against the workers. The Department of Labor and Employment, or DOLE, says a labor dispute between the corporation and its workers is being resolved.
There are times na medyo mahirap yung diskusyon, pero yun po, bahagi po yan ng proseso eh. Ang sa amin naman po ay eventually magkasundo po sila. At sa tingin naman po namin, yun po yung gusto po ng patunguhan ng dalawang partido.
12 Regent workers have been temporarily freed after posting bail. In his Facebook post, Pasig City Mayor Vico Soto had asked Regent to drop the charges against the 23 arrested individuals, while company owners Irwin and Susan C. says they would consult their board, but their legal counsel eventually informed the Pasig City government they won't drop the charges. Mayor Vico says he will do anything under his power to free the 11 other detained workers. Labor Group Associated Labor Unions Trade Union Congress of the Philippines, or ALU-TUCP, meanwhile condemns the violent dispersal.
Wala hong mandato, wala silang authority, wala silang kapangyarihan mula sa gobyerno na i-disperse yung mga manggagawa na legal na nagpipiket at nagpapahayag ng kanilang grievances sa management.
May Bermudez, UNTV News and Rescue, Quezon City.
Manila Mayor Isko Moreno Dumagoso stands firm he will impose the law and do what is right on the appeal of displaced street vendors in Divisoria. Asher Cadaban Jr. tells us why.
About 100 Divisoria street vendors protested in front of the Manila City Hall today. Their appeal to Mayor Isko Moreno Dumagoso let them put up stalls again in Divisoria just like before.
Sama-sama ho kaming mga vendor na pumunta rito sa harapan ng City Hall upang hilingin namin na makabalik kami sa aming kinalalagyan. Hindi naman ho malaking space ang inihingi namin, kapiraso lang.
But the city mayor stands by his decision to impose the law and what is just. He explained the city government has already given them the chance, but they failed to follow the law and the conditions set to avail of the privilege to sell in the streets of Divisoria. Mayor Isko also clarified he just ordered to clear the major roads of obstructions caused by the vendors themselves and their stalls. However, he has allowed the vendors to continue with their livelihood, provided they comply with certain conditions, which include maintaining the cleanliness of their area, refraining from paying illegal collectors, and following the size for every stall. The city chief executive emphasized he will uphold the interests of the greater population.
Binigyan na namin kayo ng pagkakataon. Sinayang ninyo. Okay. Sabi nila, 20 years na ho kami rito. 30 years na ho kami rito. Aba, bagay na ipagpasalamat nyo sa mamamayan ng lungsod ng Maynila.
The vendors threatened to continue their protests if Mayor Isko will not talk with them. Vincent Arboleda, UNTV, News and Rescue.
Manila Mayor Isko Moreno Domagoso promotes Manila Traffic and Parking Bureau enforcer Adrian Lim to being a regular employee after a risky apprehension of a reckless driver on Saturday morning. Bernard Dadis reports why.
21-year-old Adrian Lim, a job-ordered employee of the Manila Traffic and Parking Bureau, suffered injuries after apprehending a reckless driver in Sampaloc and Santa Cruz, Manila on Saturday morning, November 16. A CCTV footage shows Adrian hanging on a window of a gray sports utility vehicle around 9:45 a.m. after its driver, identified as Ricardo Orlando Jr., refused apprehension for disregarding lane markings.
Dumadaan lang kayo sa Maynila, salbahe pa kayo. Nakikiraan lang sila. Wala kayong puwang dito sa Maynila. Pagkaganyan ang magaling.
The suspect is currently detained in Manila Police District Station 3. He is facing charges for serious physical injuries and reckless driving. The Land Transportation Office has suspended his driver's license for 3 months. In this morning's flag raising ceremony of the Manila City Government, Mayor Domagoso lauded enforcer Lim for his dedication. The mayor announced that Lim has just gotten promoted to being a regular employee from his JO working status with a previous salary of 6,000 pesos.
Dahil ako magulang nito, I'll be proud of my son. Dapat tularan.
Mayor Isko hopes there will be more law enforcers like Adrian Lim. Bernard Dadis, UNTV News and Rescue, Manila.
More than 400 Filipino workers in Singapore benefited in a free medical mission conducted by Members Church of God International. Here's Sister Louie Azuke to tell us why.
Free medical checkup, free calls to the Philippines, and other free services. From these good works, Members Church of God International, or ang dating daan, was known by our fellow overseas Filipino workers in Singapore.
Year 2010, when MCGI started these public services at Lucky Plaza, Singapore, where most of our Filipino workers gathered. MCGI is always ready to help and provide for their needs. Every week, there are a total of 400 fellow Filipino workers who are receiving these free services. A total of 50 receive free medical checkup and free vitamins. More than 50 OFWs benefits from calling their families and friends in the Philippines for free, and about 60 are enrolled to free computer lesson. A few of computer lesson graduate students has already received a certificate of completion. We have fellow OFWs who would like to thank MCGI for the free public services that they have received.
Salamat po sa MCGI Public Service para sa mga libreng blood pressure check-up, libreng mga vitamins, libreng tawag sa Pilipinas, at libreng paara ng computer lesson.
Nagpapasalamat po ako sa MCGI Public Service. Malaking tulong ito para sa aming mga kasambay dito sa Singapore para mapanatili ang aming kalusugan.
Nowadays, even if it's easy to call our family in the Philippines with the use of internet and social media, there is also an option to buy phone cards, but international calls will still cost more. That is why our fellow OFWs are glad that they can call their families and friends for free. Besides these public services, MCGI Singapore provides Bible study for our fellow Filipinos, especially on the spiritual aspect.
Nagpapasalamat po ako kay Brad Eli kasi marami po siyang natutulungan at nasasagot niya po lahat ng mga katanungan na hindi po nasasagot ng ibang pastor na naayon po ito sa Biblia. Kahit hindi po siya nagbabasa ng Biblia, ang lahat po ng mga kasagutan niya ay nakasulat sa Biblia.
MCGI public services are already well known here in Singapore. Our volunteers serve as a role model to our fellow Filipinos to do good. Some of our fellow Filipinos who benefited from free services are now part of the volunteers of MCGI. From Singapore, Sister Louie Azuge for ang Dating Daan 39th anniversary, upholding the truth through the gospel and good works.
And to complete the most significant news for this day, Y News continues. Here are the top stories. Manila Mayor Isko Moreno Domagoso sheds light on a viral video of a man seen on a video hanging on one side of a jeepney in Taft Avenue. Bernard Dadis tells us why.
A video of a man hanging on the side of a jeepney who appeared to be stealing something from a passenger has gone viral on social media. But Manila Mayor Isko Moreno Domagoso clarifies it is only an issue of personal feud. In a press conference today, Mayor Domagoso invited those involved in the incident and Manila Police District Director Brigadier General Bernabe Balba. Jomar, the man seen on the video, said he and his friend Edison chased a man who rode the passenger jeepney after allegedly groping her wife 3 times. The incident took place yesterday in Taft Avenue. MPD confirms the statements of Jomar and Edison. The MPD also said there are no cases filed because the victim and the suspect have settled with an agreement. Mayor Domagoso said it is clearly not a case of snatching and holdup, but gave a piece of advice to Jomar and Edison.
Sa susunod, huwag niyong ilalagay sa inyong kamay ang batas. Manatili kayong maniwala at sana magtiwala na kayo muli sa pamahalaang lungsod ng Maynila at sa kapulisyahan.
Bernard Dadis, UNTV News and Rescue, Manila.
And for the news abroad, here's RL Kamiya reporting live from Takasuka, Japan. RL, good evening.
Good evening, William. A standoff at the Hong Kong University campus has led to fiery clashes overnight as hundreds of protesters tried to repel a police advance. Stephanie C. details this report.
Police are surrounding a Hong Kong University campus after a fiery overnight standoff with hundreds of protesters inside. Dozens of protesters tried to leave Sunrise but turned back as police fired tear gas and rubber bullets. The police said tear gas was fired because a large group of masked rioters suddenly charged at cordons. Earlier, police tried to enter Polytechnic University or PolyU but were met with patrol bombs and bricks. The acting president of PolyU's student union, Ken Wu, said that at least 500 people remained inside the campus. He said fresh water was available but food supplies were running low. Demonstrators have been occupying the site for days as Hong Kong's violent protests continue to escalate. On Monday afternoon, police said protesters could leave the campus via Chung Wan Road South Bridge, but urged them to drop their weapons and remove their gas masks. But protesters had decided to stay put, as they would be arrested anyway if they left. Stephanie C., UNTV News and Rescue.
Former Bolivian President Evo Morales feared that a civil war might break out in Bolivia and called on his countrymen to end the clashes in the streets. Meanwhile, more than 200 Cuban doctors leave Bolivia in the midst of the ongoing crisis in the country. Beverly Sison reports why.
Former Bolivian President Evo Morales, who was granted a political asylum in Mexico on November 12, said he had first-hand information that organized paramilitaries and paid gang members and drug addicts who were working for the Bolivian right were committing acts of violence in the streets. Since the disputed October 20th presidential elections, which set off the political crisis in Bolivia, at least 20 people have been killed and more than 500 others injured in clashes between supporters and opponents of Morales, the Andean nation's first indigenous president. Morales, who resigned on November 10th, said the death toll could be higher, claiming that 23 people died from gunshots.
I'm calling on my people from the countryside and in the city, poor, the humble, and those who exercise economic power, to say that we cannot be fighting. I want them to stop these confrontations.
The former president said he regretted having provided equipment to the armed forces, adding that the military had just one helicopter when he first took office and were now using their weapons against the people. Morales alleged that certain powerful groups were paying workers between 200 and 300 pesos to do violence in a country where the average salary is around 120 pesos or $17. Morales said professors at public and private universities were urging students to block roads all day and giving them grades for assignments in courses that had been suspended. Morales said that he wanted his supporters to engage in a national dialogue with the transitional government to avoid violence. Meanwhile, a group of 224 Cuban doctors arrived in Havana on Saturday after their evacuation from crisis-ridden Bolivia amid allegations by Bolivia's interim government that Cubans were instigating rebellion in the South American nation. The Cuban doctors took off in a plane of Cubana de Aviacion from the city of Santa Cruz. The rest of the 725 members of the Cuban medical mission were also ready to return home in the next few days. Several governments, including the United States and Brazil, accused Cuban medical mission members of being undercover security agents. The Caribbean island nation, however, has always strongly denied the allegation. Beverly Saison, UNTV News and Rescue.
A bar in New Delhi offers pure oxygen to its clients with a cost between $4.20 and $7 for a 15-minute session. Kath Dumaraos has this story.
OxyPure, an oxygen bar in New Delhi, offers pure oxygen to its customers. Oxygen is being offered in 7 different aromas such as cinnamon, eucalyptus, peppermint, spearmint, and others. The oxygen bar provides portable oxygen cans to customers that they can carry easily with them. The initiative has been taken at a time when pollution levels in the city have spiked. The store operator said that their product helps in providing some relief, especially for those complaining of mental fatigue, sleep disorders, blood pressure issues, and stress. They also said they get 10 to 15 customers a day. Kat Dumaraos, UNTV News and Rescue.
And those are the stories from around the globe. Back to you, William.
Thank you, R.L. Kamiya, reporting live from Takatsuka, Japan. Judiciary Magis and PITC Global Traders toppled their opponents on Sunday's UNTV Cup Season 8 double-header. The list of 8 teams that will advance to the second round elimination of the league this season is finally complete. Bernard Dadis tells us why.
Two-time champion Judiciary Magis advanced to the second round elimination of UNTV Cup Season 8 after defeating Season 5 champion PNP Responders on Sunday at Pasig City Sports Center 78-72. Former professional basketball player Warren Ibanez led the Magis with 12 points, 6 rebounds, and 5 assists. According to Ibanez, one of their secrets in winning this game is trusting one another.
Sinabi lang namin sa loob ng dugout, trust our teammates. Magtiwala sa kakampi, dumipensa. Yun lang, mananalo kami sa game na to.
While according to Coach Joey Yabut, their preparation for the do-or-die match paid off.
Bali, ang ginawa namin kasi conditioning nung Friday. Ang sabi ko lang kasi sa kanila, last game na natin to, kung hindi tayo mananalo. Mas mahaba yung pahinga, kaya siguro talagang lahat ng lakas nila, nilabas nila ngayong...
SPO3 Anton Tolentino Jr. led the responders with 21 points and two-time MVP Olan Umiping with 17 points. PNP coach Eric Samson meanwhile vows the team will come back next season with more strength and determination to try to reclaim the title.
So as of now, medyo siguro mare-reflect namin yung mga pagkakamali ng mga, especially this game, di ba? So sa mga sumusuporta sa PNP responders, keep supporting us. Next year, babalik sigurado, babalik yung team na to sigurado.
In the first game of Sunday's doubleheader, the PITC Global Traders toppled the Ombudsman Dropbusters 87-70. This season's second-round elimination of the League of Public Servants await the AFP Cavaliers, Agriculture Food Masters, PITC Global Traders, and PhilHealth Plus for Group A. And the DNR Warriors, Malacanang PSC Camao, NJ Builders, and Judiciary Magis for Group B. Bernard Dadis, UNTV News and Rescue, Pasig City.
Volunteers from Members Church of God International, or MCGI, in the United Kingdom handed out thermal blankets and snacks to rough sleepers in London. Here's why from Sister Andrea Inigo, reporting live from London, UK. Good afternoon, Sister Andrea.
Good evening, Will. I am here in central London with Good evening, Will. I am here in central London with volunteers from the Members Church of God International, or MCGI, in the United Kingdom, who are gathered to celebrate the 39th anniversary of the Old Path program. It is now 12:50 here, and these MCGI volunteers distributed some thermal blankets and breakfast meals to the street dwellers around the area this morning. Around 8 o'clock this morning, our fellow men received blankets that they can use to warm their body against the cold season. MCGI volunteers chose this activity due to the increasing number of rough sleepers in the British capital. According to data collated by the Combined Homelessness and Information Network, or CHAIN, the number of street dwellers in London has doubled to 3,985 people in a span of 12 months. Even though the UK is one of the wealthiest and most powerful nations in the world, there are still people that suffer from poverty-related crisis. Despite government efforts and provisions from charities, the numbers of rough sleepers continue to rise and are definitely in need of help to get by daily, which is why the beneficiaries of this morning's activity are thankful for the gifts they received from the MCGI. This is just one of the public services spearheaded by Brother Eli Soriano and Brother Daniel Razon, the host of the Old Path program, which is celebrating its 39th anniversary with the theme, Upholding the Truth Through the Gospel and Good Works.
To say thank you, guys. Yeah, thank you for this. It's very much appreciated, guys. What you do is very much helpful. Thank you.
Thank you so much. The world now, so we just want to do a short interview just to thank the program.
Do you know what, guys? It's absolutely amazing. Without you guys doing what you do, us homeless people would absolutely suffer. Especially people like Tommy, a bit more than me, you know, that can't actually go and clean themselves up. For me, that's a godsend. So, God bless you guys. Thank you. Thank you.
And those are the latest here in London, United Kingdom. Before I say goodbye, the MCGI volunteers would like to say,
Happy 39th anniversary, the Old Path! Thanks be to God! Yay!
right, back to you, Will.
Yes, thank you, Sister Andrea Inigo, live from London, United Kingdom. And those are the reasons behind the news this November 18, 2019. On behalf of Alex Baltazar and Angelo Castro III, I am William Theo. Because we need to know, we will always ask why. Good evening.